Yo, what's good, OGs? Welcome back to another one of our marvelous Mandem podcasts. You got me, the OG OTAKU, followed by my brethren Nathan, aka N, and today we are bringing you all the hot news from the MCU. We're going to give you a little breakdown of some of the new stuff to come out, such as Black Widow, Shang-Chi. If you haven't seen it, why not? And then we're going to talk about the what if episodes as well. I think currently we're on episode 6.
Episode 7 just come
Episode
out.
7. Yeah. All right. See,
Party thought.
Party thought. And we're going to go through all of it and what's to come for the MCU. So today, you know what? Let's just start. Black Widow.
Yeah, we were a little late on catching Black Widow.
We were late on catching Black Widow. Even the last podcast we done.
Yeah, the world was late on catching Black Widow, though.
Yeah.
That was an unfortunate film. Great film to watch, but unfortunate series of events plaguing that film's release.
Just everything behind the production of Black Widow, as you may have known from the news and everything, the controversy around it, the suing, the lawsuit, stuff like this. Everything about the production of Black Widow just seemed a bit of a shambles. And let's be honest, it's not their fault. It's a, global situation that's hitting a lot of people, but let's just say they may not have handled it in the best way.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a sour note for Scarlett Johansson to potentially go out on because, I mean, if that's like the one film that character will have, and then it's going to be done. You know, she was part of the tapestry for 10 years, and then if that's what she has to go out on, that's a shame.
It's a bit of a sour note to go out on. The movie's good though. The movie is not like a sour note, just
No, absolutely
behind it. But yeah.
I mean, I've watched it a couple of times now, and I do appreciate what it has actually added to the world. Yelena's a great new kind of character to move forwards with, to sort of represent the Black Widow corner of the universe.
Yep.
And what we got insight into, all the characters that we got to meet. Yeah, no, it was a great. I still think it should have been within Phase 3. That should have come right after Civil War.
Yeah. Right after Civil War.
I think so.
Yeah. I agree with you because that's when it's set, basically, isn't it?
Pretty much. It just kind of. I mean, yeah, it was plagued by that idea of like, oh yeah, well, we know what ultimately happens with this character, But then you get your little end credit scene, which was pretty interesting, which obviously touches on the future beyond that character's untimely demise.
Yeah, so Black Widow, the movie, was basically, I don't know, we're not going to go through the whole plot, but it was basically the origin story for Black Widow while also telling a continuation of where she is. We knew about her character. She wasn't always a good guy. She wasn't always working for S.H.I.E.L.D. And her movie basically tells us her past. Most of all, it kind of explains what happened in Budapest.
It finally gives you some concrete information on Budapest. And it's kind of, I mean, well, it sort of just shows you the hideout there. It doesn't really. Maybe Hawkeye will tell us even more. I hope so. You learn that they were there for a while. They hid out in weird spots in train stations and stuff, and vents.
You learn that Hawkeye was sent to dead her, and instead of deading her, he gave her the choice.
That's right.
What means that at some point Hawkeye must have got the better of her.
Yeah.
Bow and Arrow was like, yo, join my team or get done. And
that's one question I was still kind of walking away from this film with, because there was some magic red dust that made the widows wake up and be because that's what happened to Yelena right at the beginning when we meet her, and so then that sort of takes away their their brainwashing and the Red Room's influence on them. And then they become self-aware and they're cool again.
Yeah.
So that happens to Yelena right at the start of the film, but it got me wondering, how come? What happened with Black Widow? We never really get a. I don't know. Maybe I missed it. Maybe I didn't quite grasp it.
In what sense? What happened to her? In what sense?
Well, yeah. If she had been in the Red Room, how did she sort of manage to defect?
Because she got picked up by Hawkeye. Way before they had developed that mind controlling technology. If anything, her leaving and escaping the Red Room to the US is the reason why they had to develop that technology to control the remaining widows more.
Oh right, I see. I didn't. I see. That's a beat
Yeah.
I missed. That's a
Because
beat I
that's why
missed.
Yelena was pissed at her, because she was said, after you left, they put me under the genjutsu, and it took me however many years to wake up out of it, and now I'm here.
That's why we have these chats.
Yeah,
Fill in the gaps.
yeah, filling gaps, get different angles on the thing. Yeah.
But yeah, so the film is basically like the premise is that Black Widow is on the run after the events of Civil War. Obviously the Sokovia Accords have come into effect, and
She picked
she picked the runaway side.
yeah.
And so the film opens with her sort of she's being pursued by General Ross, but then we see she's on the phone to him, and it looks like she's getting closed in on, but actually she's on a boat like somewhere, I don't know, somewhere gorgeous looking, like in the middle of some mountains.
They could never catch her.
Yeah, no. She was far and away by that point, but she eventually comes to learn that the Red Room, which she thought had been shut down previously, and Dreykov had been killed, the guy heading up that place, that it's still a thing. And actually, that there's more widows than ever, and
for those who don't
there's this
know,
magic red dust.
the Red Room is the place where they make the Black Widows. It's where the Black Widow program takes place, and they take girls and train them up to be killer assassins, to put them as sleeper agents throughout society, and stuff like this. And yeah, like you said, she thought she did that when she escaped, but it wasn't. It was still going on, and she was like, "Well, I got unfinished business to do. Let me go take down this Red Room for good." Her journey leads her to meet up with past family members. We say family, and then you find out that she spent a few years living in the US as a child with a family unit of a father, mother, and a younger sister, and it turns out they were just spies. They were just Russian spies, and they had to go back. And when they came back after their cover got blown, they disbanded, and that's she grew up and whatnot. But the movie sees her reconnect with these people who were in a fake family, to then realize that they were her real family, not like blood rise, but emotionally wise, all the shit they've been through together. That's her fam, and together they work to take down the Red Room with the help of her little sister Yelena, who was still there under control by them, was able to break out of it, shenanigans, MacGuffins, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Magic red dust.
Magic red dust, yeah. And they take down the Red Room, but not before, uncovering all the plot of how they've been implemented in society. There's so many Black Widows people don't even know about. There's like an army of them. Apparently Black Widow ain't that special. I mean, she is, to be honest. She's the most Black Widow of all the Black Widows. But
I mean, up until now, the Marvel universe really played it as like there's just kind of the one sole Black Widow. Well, I mean, there were limited to also flashbacks of her doing ballet and strange old Russian buildings or something. That was the kind of extent that we'd seen of a Black Widow origin. That was okay, you're from an unconventional past, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, no offense to ballerinas out there, it's a noble profession. But it was very vaguely kind of looked at, and this was the first thing that actually showed us no, there's several widows get trained, and they go out on these covert Black Ops missions and do a lot of dirty work basically.
And it's basically just like a female super soldier program.
Pretty much.
Yeah. The characters in it, I mean, who did we see now? Taskmaster was the big bad to this. Now, I'm a bit on the fence with this Taskmaster. I see what they've done. I see what the MCU's tried to do to incorporate this character into their world. However, there's not many villains you can think, but I like Taskmaster as a B-class villain. I say he's at least a B-rank villain, Taskmaster.
Yeah, no, I mean, spoilers for anyone that hasn't seen this just yet, but I mean, it's been out a while. I mean, we admitted ourselves we're late on seeing it.
If you ain't seen it, why not? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you're kind of in the wrong place at the moment.
You're in the wrong place, bro.
So spoilers for this. Widow had believed that she had shut down the Red Room after killing both that's her name, Antonia Dracov and Dracov himself, way back a while ago. That was her. That was apparently, I think it was her proof to defect over to Shield. That was the mission that it took, and it turns out no, they both lived, and actually Antonia had become the Taskmaster. But was a strange way to play it. I'm not kind of on board with this version either. Like it was. Yeah.
So in the comics, Taskmaster is a B-rank villain. Yeah, he's a mercenary. He's kind of like Deadpoolish, but his ability is that he's got copycat whatever powers in it. Anything he can see someone do, he can copy their movements and reflexes. So he'll just sit down and watch like videos of the Avengers fight and be like, cool, now I can fight like the Avengers. That's his thing. Whereas in the comics, it's always been like his ability, like maybe not like a mutant ability or something like that, but just like an innate ability he's had. This time they've made it tech-based. It was like she had goggles. Also, so they gender swapped the character. That I'm not mad at. But what I am mad at is that they done a Deadpool from X-Men 3 or Deadpool from Wolverine. Basically, they took away the speech. Yeah. You know, Taskmaster's like cool, calm, collected. Like, you know, he's got the talk and he gets into your head. Didn't say no words up until like the end of the movie. You know, like I hate silent villains. I hate like this silent villain thing. Like, you know, who's silent?
Yeah, no, it's never charming. Like you know, you're never like, oh man, I was.
Oh this villain's like so deep. They've said nothing.
Yeah, no, it's really, it's. I don't know. Even Vader like had a few lines to break up the.
Because of how they handle Taskmaster, I'm not really. Like, it was cool to see them do the fights and stuff, but, like, the actual backstory they gave Taskmaster and everything, I'm not really feeling it. Like, I wasn't feeling the silent treatment at all.
It was just a shame because I feel like Taskmaster was a good villain that in the comics is an interesting character that you could have brought in, and I just felt like this was...
way better than Crossbones.
I just felt like it was just completely one and done, and there being little to no
Marvel
suggestion
are
of that coming.
notorious for just doing their villains dirty.
No, it was a sad way for Taskmaster to go out, and I think fans kind of generally reflected that. But hey ho,
Yeah, well, that was one character. Let's talk about a character I think they done great. Red Guardian. No, Red Guardian. Right now, because like the reverse, Red Guardian's always just been like, again in the comics, Red Guardian is basically Russia's version of Captain America, and he's like. You know, Russia made a super soldier, called him Red Guardian, and he's their version during the Cold War and everything. And to be honest, his story's not much more than that. I don't know, for me, maybe there's like some diehard Red Guardian fans out there, but you know, never that much like substance or source. But in this movie, he was great. The Bants, played by David Harbour.
Yeah, David Harbour. Yeah, he killed it in this.
He killed it in this, way better than Hellboy. He killed it in this. As Red Guardian, had all the Bants. I was like, yeah, man, get this guy a TV show. Him and Anna, but actually, so he was good, but no one had more Bants than Yelena. Now, if you've seen the movie, you know. Yelena's gonna, I don't know. Yelena's about, and I know Marvel. We know Marvel. They're gonna make her the new Black Widow because you know what happened to our Black Widow. She ain't coming back. Hulk already told everyone she ain't coming back. So Yelena is gonna have to step up to the plate as Black Widow. And in the comics, she is a Black Widow for a time. Like, does she take up the mantle? I'm sure.
I'm not too sure. I'm not so well read on Black Widow comics.
She's always just like her name.
It certainly seems that way going forward in the MCU for sure. Like it seems like she'll be kind of picking up that corner. And obviously with the post credit scene we got, she was speaking to Valentina, and it seems like she might be involved in this whole. I don't know if it's a Dark Avengers, Thunderbolts,
whatever's going on behind the MCU.
Yeah. But. I mean, it
I'm
got
down
me.
for more.
It got me immediately thinking of her and U.S. agent John Walker that we met in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and I was thinking that would be an interesting dynamic if they put those two together.
Yeah.
Like, I can't imagine they'll get on. Which, like, obviously Cap and Black Widow famously got on very well.
Yeah.
Which
These two are.
so I think it's going to be a completely different dynamic.
Yelena's two jokes. She's got too much banter.
Yeah.
Like, and John Walker's just a dick. Like, let's be real. So,
Yeah, no, he's not the most likable guy.
yeah, so like, I don't know how that's gonna happen, but yeah. So if you've seen Falcon and Winter Soldier, again, if you haven't, why not? You know, towards the end of that, lady with purple hair called Valentina comes and speaks to John Walker about, you know, maybe working for her, doing some jobs. As you know, he's got fired as Captain America, but technically he's got that super soldier venom run through his veins, innit?
She uses the dumbest line to persuade him. Like, he gets a new black suit, and he's like, yeah, it's great, but it's black. And then she turns around and says, like, yeah, well, you know, the world, you know, we're not going to need a Captain America. We're going to need a U.S. agent, which is like all well and good, like, because, you know, for us as fans, it's like that's really cool. Like, it's, you know, that she's dropping dropping the name, like the character, sweet. But like, if you were him in that position, you'd be like, fuck, I'm still not Captain America.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, and same way at the end of Black Widow, she comes and speaks to Yelena, but rather than recruiting her, seems that they've already got a connection. She's talking about, why you bothering me on my holiday leave?
yeah, I did wonder about that.
Yeah.
I did wonder about that.
And yeah, so much stuff.
And I'd have to assume, so given this film was had all these events set just prior to just following Civil War, and then prior to the events of Avengers: Infinity War and so on, the snap, obviously.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that they must have all been snapped, because Widow obviously reached out, probably attempted to reach out to these people during that 5-year period, and I imagine found none of them.
Maybe that it could make sense, or she just had more like bigger concerns, bigger fish to fry. You know what I mean?
But I mean, it suggests potentially, I guess, that Yelena's experience was that she was snapped and she came out and her sister was dead, basically.
Yeah.
And now it's, you know, it's the suggestion that Hawkeye is responsible is it's lent a little bit more credence.
Yes. No, I fully hear you. I see where you're going. You're talking about between the movie and the end credit scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
One interesting thing about this film, though, that was a bit low key, and I didn't realize it because
Can I guess what you're about to say?
Okay, go on.
You can't see, but I'm doing a X symbol. Is it to do with that?
Yeah, no, it's related. That's definitely related.
Go.
So Red Guardian's first scene that we meet him. Well, I mean, not the first scene. Actually, quickly before I mention this, the opening sequence of this film is probably the best bit.
Yeah.
It's almost a shame that they put it right at the start.
Beginning, because you said you watched it again, and I was like, instantly thought to myself, that opening sequence is gonna make so much more sense watching it a second time. But yeah, the opening sequence is good. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a gripping, really cool way to throw open the film. The way they just kind of slyly just. It's not so sly, like, you know, Red Guardian, David Harbour's character, he throws over just a huge piece of debris that's in the way of this runway. But it just feels like, up until that point, it feels like, you know, a panicked family, like, trying to run away. And then you realize, like, oh, one of them's super. Like,
he's strong.
yeah, something cool is going to happen. But yeah, no, it was a really great opening sequence to kind of get you into the film. And yeah, interesting insight to... I didn't realize that, I don't think anyone realized that Widow had lived in America and had like a childhood growing up in the States.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was that mixture of history in her childhood. And yeah, that whole...
That was all, yeah.
That was when we met David Harbour's character
first. But like when we, that's when we met David Harbour's character.
That was
we
flashback.
Didn't really know. It was,
yeah.
We didn't really know the weight.
But when the film was rolling in earnest...
But when we actually got to meet, we get to know who he was and basically he's in prison.
Yeah.
He's done some things. He's in lockdown in Moscow. He's in the gulag. He's literally in the gulag. And what he's just basically talking about glory days, how he's better than Captain America,
How he fought Captain
how
America.
he fought Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like I don't know how old he is, but
Well, that couldn't be true because he was talking about he mentions it was in the Cold War period. We know that Cap was under the ice at that point.
Yeah. And one of the guys says that to him, innit? Yeah. But what's he doing? He's just arm wrestling guys in a line, one by one, for fun, because obviously he's a super soldier and he's just breaking people's arms. Up until then, you go, Nathan.
Well, so this character, I wasn't aware of this character being a significant.
I did,
thing.
and I remember when we were watching it, I turned to you and I gave you a look, and I was like, bruv. I said, bruv. Like, I tried to whisper it because I didn't want to spoil me. I was like, bruv, remember this guy, bruv. Like, I was like, remember this guy. Like, because, yeah, he had tweeted it before the movie. Like, just when the movie came out. Like, imagine day one the movie came out. He's like, yeah, great. Finally, I can finally, like, let loose and, like, say this, who I am, and blah, blah, blah. And he, like, tweeted it all. So I knew before going in that, like, that actor was going to make an appearance as this character.
So oh no, hang on. So yeah, here we go. So yeah, the character Ursa Major, played by Olivier Richards. Excuse me. He's an X-Men character.
He's an X-Men character.
He plays the bear.
He plays the bear.
This seems like in a pre-bear state because, from what I understand, the bear turns into a full-on bear in the comics.
So he's even in like if you ever watch like the old school '90s X-Men cartoons. He's in like him and Wolverine have a tussle, and I remember this. And like he's basically a mutant that just turns into a big bear. He's like a Russian mutant, turns into a bear. That's his power. But yeah, so this guy tweeted that, that's my character. And obviously everyone's putting two together and they say, well, that character's an actual, like, X-Men mutant. That's the first one to be listed in the MCU. Like, you know, like, I mean, other than Scarlet Witch and Pietro.
Yeah.
But they fully explained that they were not mutants straight off the bat, like, when they introduced them.
Yeah.
And it's funny because in that scene, so he comes to arm wrestle him, and like, you know, obviously he's been breaking guys' arms left, right, and center, and obviously Earth's is giving him like a bit of like henchness, a bit of whammy now. He's like, oh my days, and he starts faking it out like he's gonna lose. Like Red Guardian's like, oh no, my arm, I'm gonna lose, and then like he just goes blast and breaks his arm basically. But he calls him. He was like, oh, stop crying, you big bear. Look at the bear crying. And I was like, oh snap, he's calling him the big bear because they must know like that's he can turn into a bear or something. That's
everybody got a prison name.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was a cool little nod to, you know, obviously the fact that we got our mutants back, and yeah, we'll be getting them in earnest at some point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, altogether, like I would have loved this film if it had come. I really did thoroughly enjoy this film, but like I think it would have landed perfectly.
It would have hit harder. Potentially if it came out when it was supposed to come out.
Yeah.
They're like initially, but yeah, obviously things got in the way.
I really think this belonged in phase 3 though you wouldn't have gotten that post-credit scene, and so where you place that and where you get that ball rolling.
It was supposed to come out before Falcon and Winter Soldier. So that end credit scene was meant to come first, and then we would have seen her again in Falcon.
Right.
Because then Falcon would have been like, oh, that's who that is. You know, but anyway, it still worked, even though they flipped it about. Best scene, worst scene?
I mean, best scene for me, I think I might still have to give it to the opening sequence. But I thought it was... Though there was also... artistically
done.
There was also the scene after they've rescued Red Guardian... And the helicopter crashes.
In the Avalon, today's a good day to die, or this will be a cool. Yeah, that's it. This will be a cool way to die.
No, during the rescue, yeah. But after that, like they crash and they're walking through this country field to Melina's place.
Yeah.
And I think Red Guardian says like. He's like trying to appeal to his daughters and, you know, make them not mad at him, and he's like, oh, you know, you've become the most like successful assassin in the world, and like you're an Avenger, like you've killed so many between you, and he like picks their wrists up and like shakes their hands. Like that was a great little moment, and like, it's kind of like
killed so many between. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. And like that was a good little injection of fun.
Worst scene.
Worst scene. I don't know. I never consciously picked these out.
Well, yeah, fair enough.
But
Nothing that comes to mind.
I don't know. I mean, have you got one that springs?
Yeah. Okay. So, not like worst scene, but like all right, gripe. Yeah, in a scene, the final scene, that like falling through the sky scene, like. I know it's a movie, and I know it's a Marvel movie, but even
sure.
even all of that, like like watching the Fast and Furious and going, "Ooh, that's a bit much."
Yeah, no, it's true. The skydiving, surfing on debris was
the surfing on debris, the fighting in the air thing was like, "Oh, that's a bit much." Like Black Widow can't fly, bro.
No. It's I was surprised at myself. I didn't pick that out actually.
I was so I would say that's the scene where I had to go. Best scene. I don't know. Like, you know what? Just for the bands, it's gonna be a Yelena scene, and I think maybe like when she's talking about her pockets on her jacket, like.
Yeah. I loved the moment when she mentions what do you do the poses for,
the
like
pose.
with the hair and the arm.
Yeah.
And the hair.
I want to change it. I want to change my best scene actually. Still Yelena scene, but it's the bit where she drops in and she does the same Black Widow pose, and then instantly got up and was like, "Ugh, that felt disgusting," and cringes, and it's like, "Nah, never again, none of that shit."
It's funny actually. Myself and my flatmate, we're rewatching. I am rewatching it, and he is watching for the first time all of the Marvel films, and we've started at Phase 1 and gone through it.
Oh my
and
days.
we just watched Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
And that fight sequence where Black Widow and Happy Hogan go into Hammer Industries is extremely pose-filled.
Yeah.
It's a good little sequence, it got me thinking back to that
that's
scene.
all them poses, and like in the corridor, I know when she's doing the sliding and everything. Yeah,
because I remember the trailer for that film and being like, oh wow, like they're bringing in Black Widow, and like,
they got Black Widow.
They're giving her a lot to do in this hallway apparently.
So well, Black Widow, good. Not one of Marvel's strongest, but still good. Just to wrap up the Black Widow story, it didn't necessarily. I mean, it did kind of set up a few little things. I feel like it set up more than we're even seeing now. But like later on, it's all gonna make so much more sense.
I mean, I just wonder if we'll get any more kind of. I think there will still be a presence in the world, because actually, a widow turns up in Shang-Chi.
Yeah, there were so many people. Anyway, you know what? We're not even gonna get into Shang-Chi right now.
Yeah, Just saying. Yeah. But I think that I mean, I'm not so sure we're gonna see that Red Guardian will come back, or Melina necessarily, and Yelena is the only character that I think we'll kind of see come back. Going forwards. But at least we know that there'll be access to that corner of the world. Yeah.
Like they didn't get deaded, and that's a good thing in the MCU, because it means you can come back.
Yeah.
Cool. On that note, we'll come back after this break. Yo, what's good, OGs? We're back, and it's part 2 of the Marvelous Mandem podcast. So basically, me and N, now we're going to talk about Shang-Chi. Again, if you ain't seen it, why not? Now, Black Widow, cool and everything, but Shang-Chi, that was lit. I can't even lie. I ain't gonna front. Like, I'm biased. I'm biased. Like, with a name like OTAKU, and they dropped a movie like Shang-Chi. Marvel already had me, but now they knew they got my money. You know what I mean? Everything I wanted and more. Yeah, like, how are you feeling about it?
Yeah, no, I was really entertained by Shang-Chi. Like, it was a great new corner of the Marvel universe to kind of get into and explore, and it was a great origin story for the character, but also also just weaved well into the tapestry of some of what we knew as well. Like there was some cool, surprising turns in it, and yeah, no, I think it had several elements to it that were consistent with kind of. I mean, yeah, there was one thing about this film that was really apparent to me, was that I was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, I do really definitely see the Marvel formula kind of repeating in a few ways in this film. But that's not to say, I mean, you know, I love these films.
Listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
Don't let the haters tell you something, because I know a few directors come out talking about the Marvel formula.
Yeah, but I think the thing that's great about these films is that they demonstrate like a wider web of plot that's sustained over several different characters and film sets, which is what comics were doing the whole time, right? And like really looking back on the original comics, like when you look at like, you know, when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby were creating stuff, like it was still to a formula. So it's not surprising, I guess, to see when you adapt it from that source material.
There's always a formula. It's fine. It works. It's not as bait as a formula as the Power Rangers, you know. Not every episode does do you have to beat the parties to get them to grow large, to get the Megazord, to then beat them again. Like, you know, it changes. But Shang-Chi, I feel like they've done what Star Wars has been doing for a long time, where they've brought in new IP, but they've retconned it to fit in with all the history that was already there. Like, they laid the groundwork with a lot of the things like the 10 rings since Iron Man 1. You know what I mean? And now they're just saying, yeah, this is the 10 rings. You know, you've seen them in Iron Man 1. They're the people who jacked Tony Stark. They're the people who tried to buy the yellow jacket suit in Ant-Man 1. They're about, their symbols there. You've seen it. If you've been paying attention. And now in Shang-Chi, you finally get to find out what that's all about. Now, you said you just watched Iron Man 2, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And Iron Man 1 just prior to that.
And Iron Man 1 prior to that, yeah. Now, because, this is what I mean. Movies like Iron Man 3, what isn't the best of the Marvel movies, you know, but still good in its own right. But now they've just made it great because it links into Shang-Chi. Now, Ben Kingsley was the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, and I remember watching this and seeing the Mandarin and getting gassed. Oh my days, finally Iron Man's big bad villain's here. The Mandarin is going to come in with his sick rings and he's going to murk everything and he's going to be green and all this stuff, and he just wasn't. But I remember watching the trailer and he had like a Bane voice, because, you know, that was hot at the time. Your villain had to have like a sick Bane voice. And it was like, okay, Mandarin's going to be deep. Halfway through the movie, you find out that is not the case. This guy is not hard at all. Like, what is his name again?
Trevor Slattery.
Trevor Slattery. Man like Trev. And he's actually English. Like, you know.
Yeah, no, he's Toast of Croydon.
He's Toast of Croydon. And man like Trev out here. It turns out he's not a big bad villain. He was just being used by someone else to portray a villain. This later lands him in hot water because he goes to prison, because although he was an actor pretending to be a terrorist, he still technically was a terrorist. So he goes to prison. In this time, the Marvel fandom are pissed because they've just made a joke out of yet another great MC Marvel villain, basically. And then All Hail the King drops. Yeah. All Hail the King, if you don't know, is a Marvel short. Now, they don't do many of these, but because of how I feel the fans were at the time, that they just ruined the Mandarin's character, Marvel said, all right, we got you. They done All Hail the King, what was like a short video that came like a documentary of a guy coming to make a documentary, meeting Trevor in prison to say, what was it like pretending to be a terrorist? At the end of that like short film, you find out that this guy is actually an assassin from the 10 Rings, the same organization that jacked Tony Stark at Iron Man 1, who has come to him saying, you took our leader's name and he's pissed because you've ruined his name, and now he's come to claim his revenge on you. And that's how it ends. And you're like, what? So Marvel just said, okay, there's a real Mandarin out there and he's pissed the same way you guys are, because this guy ruined his name.
Yeah.
And now in Shang-Chi, we finally get to meet the real Mandarin. And I understand why he was pissed, man.
Yeah, no. And you know what? It makes for an interesting payoff to the Legend of the Ten Rings, because we weren't really sure what to expect.
We weren't.
I think it was, it was a great way to set a premise to open up and explore this whole new corner of the Marvel universe. Because the movie opens with Wenwu, played by Tony Leung, like who kills it in this role. Like this villain is definitely
Great.
top tier. Like even though like I don't think we're gonna get him back. Like, you know, I think it was a one and done kind of thing. But
as Marvel do.
Yeah, but it was.
But he brought the gravitas to the role of like the Mandarin, the leader of the Ten Rings. Like, you're like, that guy, I ain't messing with that guy.
Yeah. So we learn Wenwu is he's the wielder of the Ten Rings. We never get a sort of solid origin on where he acquires these rings. There are legends that say he found them in a crater, and, you know, stories that say other things. But his power that he commands with these rings allows him to live for 1,000 years, conquering different lands and amassing a huge army under him and an empire.
And like, am I just fake imagining this? But didn't they say he went by many names? And wasn't he like Genghis Khan and stuff?
I didn't catch. I might have missed that.
Or am I just thinking of Kang?
That might have been Kang going by many names. But
yeah, fair. But yeah, like he's been around for a few thousand years, just murking. Like, you know, in the shadows throughout war, using these 10 rings that aren't rings that you would wear on your finger like they are in the comics, but are more like bangles, 5 on each wrist. But they go up your arm in like descending size. Go on, as you were saying, Nathan.
It's an interesting origin for the Ten Rings, I guess, because it's all underpinned by this guy's empire that he's amassed over 1,000 years, and so the different factions are born out of that, and they occur in different places in the world. So, you know, such as the faction that Tony Stark runs into in the very first film.
Yeah.
And eventually, when Wu seeks out a village called Tao Lo, which is a village of legend, but is a place that's said to be a place that harbors mythical beasts, and where he may expand his power.
Yeah. I'm just gonna address one elephant in the room right here. There's a lot of similarities between Shang-Chi and Iron Fist. Not only in their original like Marvel comics, because, you know, just two martial art characters in Marvel, but also like obviously they're not going to continue Iron Fist because of the Marvel TV shows. So I feel like they're reusing a couple of those tropes here, because, you know, Tao Lao, Kun Lung, you know, it's the same kind of mythical place where all these things and mythical creatures and powers that are not like accessible to the human realm reside, basically.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was definitely we saw Iron Fist on Netflix, and I think Shang-Chi and the world they've shown us, by comparison to the world they got to show us in the Netflix. Yeah. I mean, you know, it was, I think this is probably where they'll kind of, you know, go for their Marvel martial arts.
Their Marvel martial arts thing,
But who knows? I hope Danny Rand gets his day one day. You know, I feel like that guy got a raw deal in some respects.
Yeah, but for right now, Shang-Chi's gonna hold that. So.
I mean, let's get on to so Simu Lee, the guy playing the titular character. He crushed it in this role, man. I think he was.
Simu Lee did crush it in this role, to the point that now I've gone back and started watching like some of his back catalogue, like of stuff just that I've heard him be in, to see like, oh, what's he, you know, what else is he saying? But yeah, no, he was good in this. A very strong like Asian cast, basically.
Yeah, no, it was a great like it was a great premise that they gave the character to sort of introduce him as well. So like, I mean, not to jump ahead here, but he'd gone to San Francisco after sort of completing a mission.
I mean,
for his father.
I say jump ahead, man. We're gonna be able to like. I'm gonna do like a quick like breakdown of Shang-Chi, yeah, and then we can like fill in.
All
the
right,
gaps.
we'll jump around.
Yeah. All right, cool. Shang-Chi, yeah. All right, guys. This is what you need to know about Shang-Chi. So, his dad is the Mandarin, leader of the Ten Rings. He's kind of like Ra's al Ghul with like, you know, the League of Assassins. Like they're there in the shadows, controlling bare stuff, like Assassin Syndicate. He trained his son from an early age to be like a sick warrior and everything, like brutal training as you can imagine, just to like kill and never be killed. He manages to escape. His mum gets killed early. We see that scene, and on a mission when his dad gives him his final mission to go out, kill the person who killed his mum, and come back and then like, you know, take his dad's side and like rule all this stuff. He like basically doesn't want that life, and he thought he escaped, and he lives in San Francisco for what, 10 years or something like that. Yeah, lives there for 10 years, living his life happy as a valet with his best friend. Katie, yeah, played by Aquafina. You know, and then Tutu's now, him and Katie on the bus going to work, and two guys run up on him talking about, give me that pendant round his neck. He's like, nah, bro, this pendant's from my mum. Like, and it turns into a fight on a bus that was a sick, well choreographed fight. Like, reminiscent of like, you know, the old school Jackie Chan movies, like where like Jackie's always like in a foreign land or something, and then he always has like that first fight. Like no one's like, can this guy fight?
Well, he was using his environment, like, you know, flipping around bus poles.
Flipping around bus poles and stuff. He's just like, oh my god, this guy can fight. Like,
and there were other moments like that, you know, when he was like, you know, flipping planks to, you know,
best
take
cameo,
out guys and stuff.
Best cameo has to go to the hot dog vendor guy from Spider-Man, Homecoming. He was on the bus, live recording the whole fight, talking about, I'm going to rate this because I done martial arts as a kid.
Yeah. I got some experience. Like, yeah, no, that.
Yeah.
I didn't realize at first that it was that guy returning, but looking it up afterwards, I was like,
he's the guy in Spider-Man, told him to do a flip for the hot dog, innit?
Yeah. I hope he's a staple now. Like,
apparently he's been asking Marvel to get his own spin-off thing. Like, you know, you might as well shoot your shot, go for it, innit? You never know.
They could make like a real YouTube channel or something, and just put these fights on just from the perspective, and just play it completely.
You know what?
That might work for him. Real.
But yeah, so this bus, the people that attack him on the bus, basically are being sent from his father to pick him up to say, yo, time to come home. I know where you are. I knew where you are this whole time. I just thought if I gave you 10 years to, like, you know, sow your oats and stuff, you come back and rule the clan like you're supposed to. Obviously, he tries to resist, and he just has to go back anyway. Links up with his sister, who he found out he left behind, but also managed to escape and was also living somewhere else, running her own underground fighting ring that was like the best scenes and Easter eggs of the whole movie. And we will come back to it because, like, that's just a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so his younger sister's been running this fighting ring. So now him, the sister, and his brethren Katie have been brought to the dad, the Mandarin, and he's basically told them that their mum is from this place, Tao Lao, and he needs to break into there because the mum's still alive and she's calling him in dreams to come rescue her.
Just to tag the names, his sister, Xu Xiling, and his mum is, sorry, I had the name right here. His mum is Ying Li, and played by Ying Li, played by Fala Chen, and Xu Xiling, played by Mengar Zhang.
Yeah.
She killed it in
everyone
in her
crushes
role,
their role in this. Not one person is off. Honestly, like everyone just crushes their role.
I feel like they gave. I'm not gonna lie. I had some issues with the kind of emotional payoff of some of this stuff towards the end, because I think they did good work in kind of showing the way their family had been torn apart by, obviously, they have a unique father for father figure.
figure,
Marvel
yeah.
like to do that. That's one thing in the formulas that I was like, oh, okay, this is another movie
It's
with a
always
father.
a bad dad, yeah.
You know, there's always a father that's, you know, not quite
too
up to
good,
scratch.
yeah.
Or yeah, in this case, like was like evil for 1,000 years.
Yeah. No, but yeah, so he tells them that, and yeah, we can say from there, because everything else is just, you know, the big stuff, like, you know, as you would imagine. But that's the premises of the story. Shang-Chi thought he escaped being an assassin. His dad was like, no, picked him and his sister up and was like, you guys come work for me and come help me save
Yeah,
your
come
mom.
give me your pendants.
Yeah,
and
give me your pendants
come back here.
so that I can go find your mum who's calling me in my dreams to rescue her from her hometown, that's this hidden village, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, in between this now is some amazing stuff. Now, I don't know. All right, let's just go to it. Underground fight scene, yeah. So the sister has been running the underground fight scene. What's the sister's character's name?
Xu Xiling.
Zhu Jiling, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. She's been running the underground fighting ring. What was great, because they had all the Easter eggs. They had someone in there who was fighting, who had extremists, fighting a Black Widow. There was someone in there. Was there a scroll? Like,
I don't think there was a scroll.
nah, there wasn't a scroll. There was an extremist person. There was a Black
There was an
Widow.
extremis. There was someone afflicted
From
with
Iron Man 3.
extremis, and
Yeah.
they
Thought all
were
of them
fighting.
guys
They were
died.
fighting a Black Widow agent,
Yeah.
and then we obviously the big cage.
The big cage fight that we seen in the trailer. Wong from Doctor Strange, my guy, fighting Abomination from Hulk 1. Like, and it's like, wait, what? Like, why are you guys here fighting? And not only to say are they fighting, after the fight that was sick and jokes, you find out they're brethrens, and Wong's like, come on, Abomination, let's go home, cuts a portal, and they duck out to some facility, and that's all you see. And you're like, what? Like,
So I'm intrigued by this because, through that portal we saw some kind of facility, maybe somewhere that
Like-
Abomination gets held. But how, like,
where has Abomination been? How is he in the MCU now? It's the same one from Hulk 1.
how has he got Wong's number?
And why is Wong involved? Why is Wong involved? These are two characters that should not know each other. Why are they brethrens and why are they scuffing in the underground fighting ring like nothing's going on?
Questions.
That whole underground fight ring scene was great. Like, all of it. Like, I was like, this place is sick. And then, like, you find out it's the sister, and then they have to fight and everything, little scuffle. And yeah, Shang, yeah.
I was a little bit disappointed because the name escapes me. I'm looking
I
for it
thought
here.
from
But
the trailers it was going to be Madripoor. Because
Yeah.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I like that would have
Yeah.
been a nice little.
I thought that's how it was going to connect. Everyone was saying from the trailers, like, you know, that skyline was going to be Madripoor, and it turned out it wasn't.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'd read something that was like, oh look, you can spot a flag in the background that.
No, it is. It's the Mandalorian flag in the
Right,
background.
right, yeah.
So it is there, but that's just Marvel doing what they do to fake us out, because they know how everyone breaks down these trailers, you know. So they just put that there to fake us out, because it is there and it's still there in the movie, but it's someone in the Fight Club's just repping Madripoor. It doesn't necessarily mean they're in Madripoor. Yeah. If you like martial arts.
So they were in Macau.
They were in Macau.
Yeah, that
Fair.
that was the name. But I mean, you know, Macau's a place.
Macau's the place, yeah. No, I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was somewhere in the US.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize they flew.
But so I mean, so they get back to their dads, and you know, Wenwu's not like, he's not like pissy with them, like he's like genuinely like, you know, he's trying to, like, the way they played this film was good, because I think he was nuanced in,
Like
he cared about his family.
He did.
You know, he wasn't like some cackling, like,
he
you know,
wasn't the best
mustache
dad.
twirling.
Yeah, he wasn't the best dad, but
Nah.
he did care about his family. And, you know, I think he wanted to try set things right because he knew he had done wrong, but just his methods to go about it was wrong.
Right.
And obviously he was led astray by this vision of his wife that kept on coming to him and leading him. Now, we thought he was crazy, and later on find out that it's true. There's like a demon thing that this hidden village has been protecting or guarding the gate to for a long time. And apparently it's been beckoning him to come release them, pretending to be the wife. this obviously leads to a massive fight. It was a great fight scene and battle. We see so much stuff in to stop, the dad's guys getting through that gate. And Shang-Chi and his people obviously decided to back the village, and it's great. Everyone gets a weapon up, everyone gets some gear up. He gets his 6th suit made out of dragon scales, because yes, dragons are in the MCU now,
Yep.
and they're hench.
No doubt.
Yep, there's a dragon. It flies around. It's sick. Shang-Chi rode it.
We seen
done
it.
some battle. We seen it. It's great. And the weapons are made out of dragon scales. The armor's made out of dragan scales.
But before they get to Tao Lo, we should actually mention so the scene when Wenwu meets his love to be Ying Li, and she's guarding the entrance to Tao Lo.
Yeah. That's true. That's how they met. So the dad came to conquer her village.
Because
he's bad man conqueror.
Yeah.
Only to find her at the gate, and she continuously murked him day in, day out, every time he came back.
It's a great little sequence.
Yeah, until they fell in love.
And that's how he gave up the 10 rounds.
And he gave it up. He said,
Yeah.
I give up my life for conquering, because this woman's just whipped my ass too many times. I'm in love with her. let's have kids, which they do, and they settle down and live a nice, honest life until his past catches up with him, and some people, I don't know, some Yakuza people came and killed the wife. And
it was the Iron Gang.
It was the Iron Gang.
The Iron Gang, which I think was a sly nod to the fact
Iron Fist.
that I think that it was a sly nod to the fact that Iron Man being kind of classic kind of comic book villain to juxtaposing those. Him being the villain to Iron Man in the classic comics.
I got you. Yeah, I see. But yeah, and obviously that didn't go down well when the mum died. So he picked up his rings again and said, I'm about to go on full bad man murkage with all the Yakuza, and son, you're coming with me because you just sat there and watched your mum get killed while I was away instead of fighting. He didn't say it like that, but everyone knew that's what he felt.
Well, that's when he started his training, basically.
Yeah, and that's when he started his training, to train him to be the bad man killer. But he said, he wasn't about that. He wasn't about that life. He wanted to live calm. But not to say he ain't got hands, though. Yeah, the fight scenes in this are well choreographed. Everything was done I might as well have been watching a martial arts movie. It was done well. I loved how much subtitles there was in it. I watch a lot of anime and foreign movies and stuff, so I'm cool with subtitles. The whole all the beginning of it, I was like, rah, people in here must be pissed. Because they have to read a lot of subtitles. I was like, this whole beginning's been in subs. It's great.
Yeah, no, I definitely know some people that would have been put off by that. But I was pleased with the kind of mixture of languages and everything. Yeah, it was definitely.
I thought it was very well done.
No, it gave it, it gave it that kind of more authentic feel, I guess.
Yeah.
And
why,
and the fight scenes,
why would
like
everyone,
you say,
if they're not in England, if they're not in America, why is everyone speaking English? It don't make sense.
Sure.
yeah.
They still did speak a lot of English conveniently while they were in China or Tao Lo or whatever.
Did. But I felt like there was some characters that did and some didn't. For example, the sister at the village did, but the old man general bow and arrow guy and the others never spoke English.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that was okay, fair. Some people just don't bother.
So eventually they figure out that, or they're shown by Wenwu that his plan is to go to Tao Lo and to breach this gate and to find their mother, and that he knows the route to get there. They look at a strange kind of water maze that he gets to make by using the amulets that he took. It's a little bit dumb, but it's that's what it was.
Yeah, I don't know. It's out there, but it's very anime.
I was just a bit it's strange that this is this exact thing that you need is just built into your house. What did his wife no,
I'm sure there's a purpose for that, because it's their house for however thousands of years they've lived, or how many hundreds they've lived until the kids come along.
But the other thing about it though is that he needed both, right? And when she gave those amulets to her children, I don't think she said that. I don't think she said, "Oh yeah, you need both." Like she just said to both of them, like, "Oh yeah, this will help you find your way to my home."
That's just the plan. That's just mysterious ways. That's just every movie.
That's just mysterious ways.
Yeah. Fail safe sent in. It worked out, I guess. The dad figured it out. They didn't.
But so they realize, like, you know, when we's going to get there, it's going to be bad news. So they want to get the jump on him and get there first and warn the villagers of Tao Lao. So they devise a plan to escape and get there first. And in devising this plan, they run into a familiar character, which I think familiar audiences with the MCU were really pleased to see return.
Yes. So as escaping the Mandarin, aka Dad's compound, to try warn the village of the impending doom that's to come from their father, they find someone hidden in the basement. Who did they find first? They find a mysterious creature. They find a mysterious headless creature that left.
No. He just
No, they didn't.
The creature just wanders in after a little while.
After a while. But yeah, they find a guy, and who's this guy but none other than Trevor Manlight from Croydon. Yeah, so after all hell to the kin shorts, he didn't get killed by the Mandarin, but we later find out that what had happened was when they brought Trevor before the Mandarin, and the Mandarin was about to kill him for using his name and besmirching his name, Trevor done what he knows best and acted and performed Macbeth, a scene from Macbeth.
Yeah.
That hit the Mandarin so hard that he said, "From now on, you're my court jester, you're my actor person." And he's been eating 3 square meals a day and putting on 2 shows a week, for the boys, for the whole army, for the squad.
He's been making a solid living as an actor.
Making a solid living as an actor for the Mandarin. They kept him around because he was just that good.
I mean, it's a testament. I mean, I really feel like it's this point, like now that we've met him twice, you know, in two of the tentpole movies, like, you know, I feel like, you know, we should be getting some kind of, and you know, he was in All Hail the King, but
he got his
I want to see this guy on the stage, like, you know, I want to really get a taste of what's going on. And we also meet, in this scene we also meet his companion Morris, who it turns out is a strange creature from the land of Tao Lao. Yeah. He's a headless kind of dog, I guess, would be
with like little angel Icarus wings.
Yeah. But he's cute. He's got like fur like Sully.
I saw him and instantly thought Disney store merchandise.
Well, as I was watching the film, I was kind of like, oh, this. Again, just thinking back to the formula, I was like, "Oh, this is like the cloak of levitation, basically." This is I mean, the cloak of levitation, I practically consider a character for how much personality they gave it. Yeah. But I did also think when watching Doctor Strange, I was like, "Oh, that's like the magic carpet from Aladdin."
Yeah. There's always like some speechless thing. I don't know, but yeah, he's not. Yeah.
Well, he made noises and like he guided the group to Tao Lao.
He did guide the group to Tao Lao because that's where he was from. And the only person that could understand him was Trevor, because they spent so much time locked up in the Mandarin's compound together. What was weird, but him and Trevor had a deep bond that later saved both of them. And he leads them through this sick bamboo forest that like is a shifting maze. Into the village of Tao Lao, where they meet who I was like, when that scene happened, I was there like, oh, the mum is alive in Tao Lao. But nah, it was her sister. It was her sister who was there. So auntie for them. And they explained to auntie that, you know, dad's coming to wreck the place because something's telling him like mum's here. And they're like, nah, it's this demon thing we've got behind the wall. It's tricking him, trying to get him to come. They have like a day or two before he comes. and they have like a little training sequence, and
He gets the suit.
he gets the suit. He gets the suit. The sister gets that sick dragon, like spike and ball on a rope weapon and a suit. Everyone gets suits basically, even Katie, and like weapons. Even Katie, she gets a bow and arrow, some dragon arrows.
Yeah, and she has a montage to get good at that.
She has a montage to get good at doing bow and arrow. To prepare for the fight, that was sick. Like it was like tech versus mystic martial arts, and it went down a treat. There was like magic creatures. There was food dog things, like giant dog. Guys, I can't paint this picture of how sick this fight was, but
we can spoil the film otherwise. But yeah, you can't really describe the visual.
I can't describe the visuals of like.
But yeah, it was great, man.
It was a spectacle.
No, it was great. Like it was it was kind of like, ancient sort of Japanese kind of art brought to life.
It was great.
My
dumb
guy way of explaining it.
It was just like live action anime for me, and I was just like, I'm down, 100%.
Yeah.
Flying dragons, all that shit.
Yeah.
You know what was a great part for me? They actually called it a Kamehameha. Like she was like, so one move that Shang-Chi does basically gets described by Katie, played by Aquafina, as so Shang-Chi, he just like done a Kamehameha thing, like, and he literally did, like, he just basically like Kamehameha'd it. And I was like, great stuff.
Yeah, no, it was a good reference within the
within the bit like they do, like jumping off dragons, dropping Kamehamehas, like it was great.
And like, I mean, my one kind of issue with this last scene, like it's kind of one of the typical things with a lot of third acts in these films, is that I felt like they did some great work with kind of establishing the family bonds and everything, and why they were at odds with their father, and I think the characters all had good motives and everything, and so like the emotional payoff you get with that, I think it was set up and like it was credible to kind of be able to continue to lean into that. But I mean it did get very CG heavy, kind of like with
what towards the end.
Well, just like I feel like the final confrontation we got, where like, spoiler alert, the demons are eventually released. Like when Wu does get to the gate and takes those demons out of there, and like a huge like I forget, it had a specific name, I'm sure.
Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Let's just
The MCU Cthulhu drops out of this gate. And it's making it's making for a lot of bad news, but fortunately the Protector has come out, and
Protector's just a dragon.
The Protector is our MCU dragon.
It's like, so just in their daily lives living in this village, this dragon sheds its scales, I guess, and the scales just make all their sick stuff, like armor and weapons that are like sick. It's just stronger than anything, as you can imagine. But
and it's the only thing that can kill the demons.
It's the only thing that can kill the demons.
Which turns over Wenwu's faction to fight with the
not
villagers.
Really. Not that it was the only thing that could. It was the only thing big enough to help fight the demon, because the demon was hench.
No, but you remember the scene where the guy with the sword arm, Razor Fist. That's right. Like, it was written on his
actual
car.
Character name Razor Fist. Now up there with Laserface from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Taserface.
Yeah. Razor Fist had a sick car that they jacked, that his license plate and painted on the side said Razor Fist.
Yeah.
He just had
subtle.
He has one arm, and if you can't imagine, there's a razor.
But yeah, he goes to slash one of the demons, and it doesn't kill it.
Yeah.
And so then he has to fix another. He has to fix a dragon sword.
Yeah, to his arm. He takes a spear, breaks it, and just like wraps it around his arm, and he's like, cool.
They
like,
make amends at that point and say, cool, we got bigger problems, and everyone bands together to fight the demons.
Like these things are called like soul eater, killer, demons, whatever, and they just, all the tech that they got, like all the weapons and power they got, these things are like corporeal, like they're just their attacks are going through them. So the bad guys literally went, all right, guys, how about we truce and you give us some of those magic dragon weapons you got so we cannot get our souls sucked by these Cthulhu baby things.
And like one thing I did like about this part of the film though was once Wenwu had broken the gate free and seen like, okay, no, I'm just letting a bunch of demons out.
Yeah.
He then did turn his attention to, you know, I'm not gonna fight anymore. Like I'm gonna protect my son and like, you know, like
Yeah.
and he was taken by the demon. Wenwu deaded
And
off.
he gave him the rings.
He gave Shang-Chi the rings.
Yeah. And now Shang-Chi's got these rings of power.
Yeah.
What's
saw
the
that he
level
was-
up? Like, he was already sick at hand-to-hand combat. What's great, but, like, when we're talking about the MCU and him potentially being a future Avenger, because, you know, their ranks are a bit thin now. They lost a few guys after Thanos. Yeah, he needed a power-up, and the 10 rings now give him that power-up. Because, I love...
They give him the Kamehameha.
I really liked how they portrayed the 10 rings in this movie, because it's not something I was expecting, but it's now something I'm really down for.
Yeah, no.
Because, like I said before, the 10 rings used to be finger rings that he wore on each finger, including thumbs, and each ring done a different thing, like a mind control ring, a teleport ring, a fireball ring, like, you know. But in this, they're just rings of power that they're like Sonic the Hedgehog golden rings that he dashes out, and he can walk on them, and they can do shock waves, and like, you know, they chain together. Like, I don't know.
It's funny you say that because there were quite a few shots, like when they were floating around him and so or something that I was just like, this is that was
Hedgehog,
the exact thing I was thinking.
He's got rings floating around him, like he's ready. Like, he's got all the rings. If he got hit and all his rings like went and disappeared, I was like,
but I really like one thing I've always enjoyed in these films that I think they were like kind of crucial elements to get right, like Thor's hammer, right?
Yeah.
Like when he throws it and it goes woo, and that's a terrible representation of it, obviously.
Yeah.
But like the sound design of these things, like, you know, Cap's shield and like, you know, the repulsor of Iron Man's thing. I feel like the 10 rings they got right in that sense as well.
Whatever sound that they're
the sound design was on point.
It was on point. Yeah.
It like I think like if they come back and you hear it again, you're going to be like, oh, like when like the thing that I think fans got trained to early on was like when you heard an Iron Man repulsor blast, you were like, oh, something exciting is going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think they've been good at like kind of sort of, it's a Pavlovian dog thing where like, you know, you're sort of trained by these sounds.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. You're like, ooh, it's about to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's one bit of the formula I do really enjoy.
Yeah. It was all great. Like a spectacle to see. Story, like the story was very formulaic, whatever, but it worked. It worked. Like, you know, again, if
it was a great origin story, and like it was a really entertaining film, and
it had its stages, and it all, you know, I'm down to see more of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the great thing about it is I know I am gonna see more of it because like it's set up so much. Like so the question you raised earlier was Wong, right? Like fighting Abomination. Why are they brethrens? Where did they go? The end credit scene is Shang-Chi and Awkwafina, Katie, are just chilling at the bar, telling their friends how they basically became superheroes. And the friends are like, yeah, right, guys, come on. Like, you guys ain't superheroes. And then Wong just comes out from behind them, walks into the bar, jacks the friend's martini, backs it, and is like, yo, you Shang-Chi with the 10 rings, yeah? He's like, yeah. He's like, all right, cool, come with me. So Shang-Chi and Katie walk through the portal, and then we see another after credit scene when who was it? Captain Marvel and Bruce Banner, not Hulk, yeah,
not Professor Hulk,
not Professor Hulk, yeah, Bruce Banner in human form
with his arm in a
sling, meaning that it's still hurting from the Infinity Snap. On video call hologram thing that we've seen before, basically talking to Shang-Chi, saying how where's his rings come from? He's like, I don't know. My dad found them. We don't really know where they come from. They're saying that the ring is letting off a beacon. It's pulsating as if it's alive, calling something. They're like, calling what? They're like, we don't know. Captain Marvel's like, you know, I'm expert on all cosmic, and I don't even know what that thing is. So good luck. I got things to do. If you need me, Bruce has got my phone number. Cuts the call. Bruce turns to them. He's like, I ain't got a phone number. That's just something she does. And then basically tells Shang-Chi and Katie, welcome to the big leagues, guys. You know, it's about to get weird. That's how it ends.
Well, how it ends is Wong says you should go get some sleep.
Oh yeah, and then they and then they go and sing some sick karaoke, basically.
Yeah, with Wong in tow as well.
Because you know you could go sleep and prepare for the battle and impending doom and fight evil, or we could get lit and sing some karaoke.
Sounds better to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of things to speculate on this scene in this scene because, first and foremost, most interesting to me is what's going on with Banner, because I have to imagine this is related to the snap and the fact that, you know, Hulk having to basically take the brunt of that. Like it's not Banner's human form that had to sort of withstand that.
Maybe he had to turn back to heal properly or something.
But I'm intrigued by this because I feel like we'll get some kind of version of, you know, they've sort of given us a bit of a nod towards the internal struggle that Banner has with Hulk. Like they are two different entities, right?
Yeah.
And like he explains in Endgame that he's combined them and, you know, become, you know, the brains and the brawn. But I look forward to there being some of those things in comics where you would see him internally in his own head speaking with the Hulk or something.
Maybe this is the connection with Wong, because obviously Bruce and Wong been talking. So maybe Bruce goes, "Hey Wong, I know a guy called Abomination. He's kind of going through the same thing I am. You think you could help him also, like, you know, get his mind and his body together so that maybe he can, you know, become a normal or productive member of society again?" Because that's the only one I can see for them two characters to be so buddy all of a sudden.
I'm liking this idea of Wong potentially being kind of the Nick Fury of Phase 4.
While Valentina's out here recruiting like the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts or whatever. Yeah, like Wong's out here recruiting like, I don't know, Young Avengers or something like that.
Well, I mean, Shang-Chi, I guess, wouldn't be Young Avenger material, but like he'd be adult Avenger.
Because like, you know what, we'll get into that later. But yeah,
and I mean, it's just with the 10 rings themselves. They were saying they're not vibranium, they're not some kind of Kree or like scroll thing.
They don't know what it is.
They don't know where they've come from.
But it's cool in something. That's all they know.
Yeah.
My bet, Eternals.
Could be celestial related.
Yeah. Like if it's something that they don't know, maybe it's just too old for them to know it. My bet is cool in some Eternal guys. Best scene, worst scene.
Best scene, worst scene. I mean, I kind of think the Fight Club. That whole sequence was just it was so great. Like, the fight between the siblings as well, you know, was great. A great way to kind of, introduce Chu Ling as a character. And obviously, the way that Wong and Abomination got shown in that, and just the curiosity that's led beyond that. It was an extremely intriguing scene. And just the way they established that little bit more in the world.
Show like the world has now adapted so much to the fact that there's these metahumans and aliens and, you know, whatever beings, to the fact that, like, you know, there's just people having underground fight rings of all these people that are participating. Was Korg in there? Nah. Am I just bugging? Nah.
Nah.
Yeah, but like, you know, just like it just had so many people in there. I gotta watch it again just to catch it.
I think my worst scene would be I mean that final fight scene where they were riding the back of the dragon, I was just kind of like, this is just very like heavy CG fest now, and it's just kind of, you know, lots of flying fast action. That's, I don't know, it felt like it it quickly stepped away from like the personal aspects of the story of like which I guess, you know, is kind of inevitable with some of these, you know, with some of the
it got very out there, but I get it. It's just showing like the scale. We've seen him go from like the foot, like you know, the foot floor level, like hand to hand, to be like on this next level of demon slaying, dragon riding, Kamehamehas, you know.
Sure.
Because basically, that's funny that you picked as your worst scene, because I was gonna say maybe my best.
Fair enough.
Reason being, not even just that scene. It's just that and the scene before it with the dad. So like that whole fight with his dad towards the end when they're fighting over the rings, and it's kind of like a tug of war. That I thought that was sick, because like I said, I really like how they've gone with the rings for this movie, and in that you were just truly seeing like the depth of the power and the capabilities of these rings. Like in that fight, I feel like you really got to see the levels of them and how deep they can be. And like how, you know, it's changing colors, becoming like gold for Shang-Chi and like still blue for his father, and like we're doing the tug of war, the power, and like Shang just basically, it was kind of like, if you know, when like Naruto had to suck the chakra from the Kyuubi and just pull it all into him to be like, nah, bruv, you work for me now, and like he got the rings in that, and then to the point where he was just flicking them out, like hop skipping over them, like he like hop skipped over them, then moved them all to one leg, and then kicked someone with it, and it was all like a madness. But like that, and then to like the fated Kamehameha, I was just like, okay, like these rings are deep now. Like I seen him use it to kill some people before, but like when Shang-Chi was like flicking them around in that scene and stuff, I was like,
to be fair, you sell the scene.
Yeah,
you sell the scene well.
That scene, I was like, yes, now he's Avenger ready. Like, you know, now he's ready to come do some dirt. He's gonna kung fu you and like blow you into a mountain and Kamehameha you. Worst scene was, it's not even that deep, but it's basically the whole bamboo scaffolding fight scene through the windows. Yeah, reason being, like, if we're talking about formulas, I don't know, I've seen that like so many times. Like that, it's always like there's always like a bamboo scaffolding that there has to be a fight on. Always, I don't know who's about in the movie universe laying all these bamboo scaffoldings about for people to have fights on, but it's just always happening. And like, let's be real. Like, Katie wasn't super powered. Like, she ain't had liquor training at this point. I don't think she was surviving. And then like the sister saves her. Like, I was like, oh yeah, like you would have to come save her. Like, you know, like.
Yeah, no, it's terribly convenient.
Yeah, like that whole thing. I was like, you guys should have died a few times, like on this scene. Like, you should have died a few times on there. And I was just like, okay. Like, you know, like, okay, cool, yeah, they're really high up, but like again, it was like Fast and Furious, just like, it's cool, but it's a bit much. Like, you know, let's be real, they be dead. Like, there's like 50 guys on the scaffolding and it's 2 people, they be dead. I mean, you know, that's where I draw the line. Dragons and stuff, cool, but the scaffold fight, nah. That's where I gotta draw the line.
No, I hear you. It's I mean, it's definitely quite tropey within martial arts, I guess, in those films. But I mean, also, you know, I guess it's a homage as well to the genre.
It is a homage,
and it was Marvel giving it a go kind of thing. But
you want to know what? It is a homage to the genre, but that bamboo one was too high. Yeah.
It was if fucking
you're gonna have
deadly
bamboo
high.
Scaffolding,
It was
why
so
is it
deadly
so
high.
It was like 20, like however many floors up. Like, it was too high. Like, who's putting bamboo scaffolding up that high up on the skyscraper building that's already built? It doesn't make sense.
I mean, it had an abomination fighting in it, so like it was a bit strange that it was under construction.
it just didn't make sense. It was too high.
But Shang-Chi overall, like, yeah, no, positive
Overall,
reception.
It was great, and I'm ready for it. I'm waiting for these guys to come with their superpowers and just get like martial arted into the floor by Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Some no one.
No, I'm looking forward to more.
Yeah.
Whether it be in the form of a sequel or another kind of team up in the future, it's gonna be good.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
All right, then. That's it. We got some Black Widow discussed and we got some Shang-Chi discussed. Come back for the next episode where we're going to be chatting about What If. You've been listening to me, N, and the OG.